Greetings, fellow Rotarians and guests. My name is Joe Young, and it's my honor to serve as the 2020-2021 President of the Rotary Club of Columbus. Founded in 1915 with our first meeting in February of 1916, our club is one of the oldest and largest within Rotary International. Our membership includes a diverse set of leaders within business, city government, military affairs, healthcare, education, arts and culture, social services, and ministry, all sharing a common desire to improve our community and have a positive impact on the world around us. On behalf of my wife Vicki and our daughters Katie and Lynn, I want to thank you for all that you are doing to make our community a better place to live. It's my pleasure to serve alongside you. Now let's get to work. Hello everyone, welcome to the June 9th meeting of the Rotary Club of Columbus. So great to see a full room of smiling faces. For those of you that are joining us online, we're glad you're here with us too. We look forward to having you back in person soon. If everyone would please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's now my pleasure to call on Ian Bond to bring us today's invocation in accordance to his faith tradition.
Thank you, President Joe. Fellow Rotarians, let's bow our heads. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for this another day that we have to serve you and to serve our neighbor. As today we think especially about education in our region. We thank you for all those who are dedicated to teaching and training our young people and our young professionals. We thank you for the food that you provided for us. Bless it to our bodies, nourish us to thy service. We ask these things in your name. Amen. Amen. Please remember to give generously to the cans.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Ian. We appreciate that. It's now my pleasure to call on Tricia Montgomery to come up and introduce today's visitors and guests. Making her way.
I would like to welcome our visitors today. We have Antonio Ledbetter, whose new relationship and education for Rise from the Start, and he also happens to be the the son-in-law of Reggie Williams, and he is a guest of Debbie Caballero. We also have Heather Bradley, who's the director of marketing and communications for Andrew College, and she is a guest of Spence Seeley. And we just had a last-minute person of Levi Wolf, who is the grandson of Cecil Cheeves. Additionally to that, we have a visitor from our North Columbus chapter. His name is Jim Evans, and we welcome him. Thank you so much.
Welcome, everybody. It's a wonderful, long-standing tradition of our club each week to introduce an active duty military soldier, and we're so glad to have a guest with us this week, and I'm going to call on past President Michael Silverstein with today's introduction.
President Joe and fellow Rotarians, it's a real honor today to be able to present to the club Sergeant First Class Brian McCormick. Sergeant McCormick was born in Hutchinson, Minnesota, and after graduating high school, he went on to complete a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1994. And Sergeant First Class McCormick was living in Chicago, Illinois, downtown on the morning of September 11th, 2001. And given his strong sense of duty and his patriotism, what he told me, it was a no-brainer that day. He went and enlisted in the United States Army, and he attended Fort Benning for his basic training and his AIT. And he started his military career as an 11C infantry mortar man, and he's currently serving as the 11B Career Management NCO, also the Chief of Infantry right here at Fort Benning. And during his distinguished career, which he definitely has had, he's been assigned to multiple duty stations, both here and abroad, and he's been deployed 3 times, twice to Iraq and 1 to Afghanistan. This dedicated soldier, in reading his bio, is extremely well trained, having completed various leaders courses in schools, and he's received multiple awards and decorations, several to include the Meritorious Service Medal with the 3 Oak Leaf Cluster and the Joint Service Commendation Medal, and the Meritorious Unit Citation with 1 Oak Leaf Cluster. What he conveyed to me was the biggest honor while serving our country has been able, when his had the opportunity, I should say, to spend a day with our fellow Rotarian and the Medal of Honor recipient, Colonel Ralph Puckett, in 2016. And I know we all agree that is a great honor anytime we can come in Colonel Puckett's presence. Sergeant First Class McCormick, we cannot begin to thank you enough for your service and the men and women who serve us each and every day. And in honor of your being here today, I want to present you with a Rotary Challenge coin. You know what to do with that. In addition to that, I have 2 tickets to the River Center for Performing Arts for any performance that you would like to attend, the Columbus Symphony Orchestra, Columbus State University Theater Department, and the Springer Theater. Again, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. You honor us with your presence. Please join me as we welcome our guest.
Hey, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Normally, being an infantry NCO, I'm not used to using a microphone. I usually would turn it off, hand it off, and just speak up a little bit. So please forgive me if I'm not used to this. Again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for paying my salary. You know, everybody always thanks us, but I just want to say thank you. We really do appreciate it. I'm honored today to be able to stand before you on behalf of the Maneuver Center of Excellence, the United States Army Infantry School, and in the Office of the Chief of Infantry. I would personally like to say thank you for supporting the men and women of the United States Army. There's a phrase that everyone has heard before. It takes a village to raise a child. In this case, though, the phrase should say it takes a community to make a military outpost, a military post to operate and thrive. You are the men and women, the leaders of Columbus, that actually make this statement true. Thank you for supporting us. Godspeed and God bless America.
Sergeant First Class McCormick, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your great service to our community, service to our nation. We, Dick's talking with him about navigation capabilities, getting back to his table. But we are so thankful that for you and all the men and women that serve alongside you, and we hope that you'll come back and be our guest at some future lunch as well. So thanks again. It's a great day in Rotary anytime that we have an opportunity to introduce a new Rotarian, and it's now my pleasure to call on our President-nominee, Cedric Hill, to come up and introduce today's new member.
Thank you, President Joe. Fellow Rotarians, it gives me great honor to introduce a young man, Cedric Hill II, someone that I've been looking up to for a little while now. Cedric was born and raised in Columbus, Georgia. He's a 2010 graduate of Columbus High School. Cedric went on from Columbus High School to obtain a bachelor's degree in physics from Morehouse College in Atlanta. Upon that, he went to Houston, Texas, to Rice University, there in pursuance of PhD, and there was an interruption at that point in Cedric's life. He got a divine call to ministry at that point, and he left Rice University and engaged in a 3-year internship with Lakewood Church in Houston. After completing the 3-year internship, Cedric left Houston, Texas, on his way to Greenville, South Carolina, and stopped in Columbus and ran into people like Jimmy Elder and Bess Swartz and Adrian Chester and some others of you that are in the room and fell in love with Columbus, Georgia again, and found his niche as the Connect pastor at Christ Community Church out on Gentian Boulevard. Cedric is the youngest of our children are in the house itself, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce him and to present him to our Rotary Club. So Cedric, I present you first with Rotary pin and your Rotary package, and we say welcome to the Rotary Club and give you an opportunity to speak to the club.
Thank you all for the opportunity to be a member of this club. Like my dad said, there's a lot of people in here who have known me for a long time. I went to high school, middle school with some of y'all's kids, and you know, and a lot of there are some people in this club that have known me since I was a small child, and so it's an honor to be able to serve this community alongside you all now. And I'm excited for what being in this club is going to do to make Columbus a better place. So thank you all for allowing me to be a part of this new community. Thank you.
Cedric, we're really excited to have you joining us. I know your dad's told you all about it, but you know, we're club number 200 out of over 35,000 clubs worldwide. Founded in 1915 with our first meeting in 1916. We've got over 105 years of service to the community. Wonderful legacy for you to be joining. We look forward to serving alongside you. I want to remind folks about a couple of events coming up. Might make sure you've got it on your calendar. We've talked about this before, but the District 6900 celebration party is going to be held in Sandestin the weekend of August 13th through 15th. I hope that many of you will come join us for that. Friday, June the 25th is Rotary Day at Fort Benning. We've been doing a lot of planning behind the scenes for this. It's going to be a wonderful day. We're needing people to RSVP for either a full day or a half day. A number of you have expressed interest in going, but just didn't know if you could do the full day in your calendar. We're going to have a way to accommodate transportation back to your vehicle for those of you that are only wanting to do half a day. But the plan is to meet here in front of the Trade Center. We're going to board buses around 9 o'clock to 9:15. There's a Chamber of Commerce breakfast at the Trade Center that morning that many of you may be attending. No worries, right after the breakfast, just walk out, get on the bus, and we'll head down to Fort Benning. But our first stop will be at Victory Pond, where we'll experience Rangers in Action exhibition, which is awesome. Many of you have done that before, but it's a really, really cool event to witness. And then we're going to see an even cooler event, is seeing the newest class of Ranger graduates, which will take place. And then immediately following graduation, we'll still be there at Victory Pond for lunch. We're going to have recent competitors from the Best Ranger competition come speak to us about their training regiment, their experience during competition, and lessons learned, which is always a fantastic event. After that, for those of you that are wanting to, call it a day to get back to work or travel plans or whatever, we'll send the bus back to the Trade Center. But for those of you that are able to stay a little bit longer, we're going to go to a tank training support facility on post, which will be great to see that and tour that. And then from there, we're going to go to Riverside, the personal residence of the commanding general on post. We'll have an opportunity to have a dessert social, as well as tour the home, and we'll conclude the day there and then bring everybody back to the Trade Center. We should wrap up everything by 4 o'clock, but I hope that many of you will join us for that. It's going to be a great day, a wonderful way to wrap up the Rotary year. If you'll remember, after being suspended for I think 7 months where we were virtual only, we weren't having lunches. Our first meeting back was Major General Donahoe speaking to us. That was October the 15th, so we're kind of bookended with events celebrating Fort Benning, the history and legacy of service there in the community, so it's going to be a great event. The change of leadership ceremony for our club, that's a wonderful tradition that we were not able to experience in person last year. We will be able to experience it this year. It's going to be July the 7th. I hope that all of you will make a point to be there that Wednesday so that we can have a full room. We'll line up the past presidents in the front. I'm looking forward to passing the gavel to President-elect Lori and then taking my seat down front with everybody else. But it will be a wonderful event, and I hope that all of you guys will join us for that. If you're in the room today and you're not already on the standing RSVP list that we've established for those that are coming all the time, put yourself on there if you think you're going to be here on a regular basis. For those of you that are not on that list that still think, well, I'll be here sporadically, please do continue to let us know if you're going to be here by Friday of the week prior. Those of you that are watching online, we look forward to having you back in person soon. If you'll just let us know so that we can make sure there's enough seats for everybody. We're still at 18 tables in the room. 6 seats to a table, so there's 108 spots in the middle here, and then plus people up top and in the back. I would love to get back to at least 150, 200 folks in the middle of the room, and so if you know folks that used to be at your table pre-pandemic and you haven't seen them in a while, call them up, say, hey, we need you back. We want to get everybody back in here, and it's a wonderful time of fellowship, the more folks that are here. At the head table today, I appreciate Ian stepping up. He was not initially slotted to do the invocation, but he did a fantastic job. And I want to call on past President George Flowers to introduce today's program.
President Joe, thank you. I probably won't have a chance to be at the podium again before you step down, and so I'll just take this personal opportunity to thank you for your leadership this past year. It's been awesome. Fellow Rotarians, those in person and those online, and our guests, it is indeed my honor and privilege today to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Linda Buchanan. Dr. Buchanan became the president of Andrew College in 2015, hired due to her extensive 40-year academic background and her demonstrated leadership attributes. Previous to Andrew, she held leadership roles at Iowa Wesleyan and LaGrange College, both United Methodist-related institutions, as well as Christian Church-related Midway College in Kentucky. She also served her country in the United States Navy, retiring at the rank of captain. She brings her skill sets, intellect, energy, vision, optimism, persuasiveness, and her belief in service above self to work every day for the people of Andrew, for Cuthbert, Georgia, for Randolph-Clay counties, the Georgia Southwestern region, and the community at large. While at Andrew, she has started academic programs that deliver for the region, an ag program, a respiratory therapy program, a cancer registry management certificate, an associate's degree in nursing, a 4-year BS in business administration, and coming in the fall, a Bachelor of Science in elementary education. Add to these accomplishments was a major remodeling and building campaign, and successfully migrating students, faculty, and staff through the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Buchanan holds a bachelor's degree from George Williams College in Downers Grove, Illinois, a master's degree from Eastern Kentucky University, and a doctorate from Georgia State University. Her Stansbury Award-winning dissertation studied small American colleges in the 19th century. When she has spare time, which is rare, you can find her in downtown Cuthbert helping to restore historical buildings, or tending to rescue animals and her dogs, Bosun and Tower, a service dog, entertaining the Andrew community at the President's Home, McDonald House, or just mowing the grass at her beach house in Apalachicola. As you can tell, even in downtime, she doesn't waste an idle minute. Rotarians and guests, please help me extend a warm welcome to Dr. Linda Buchanan.
Thank you, my board chair. I am so delighted to be here that I'm on the verge of giddy. This is the first time behind a microphone for me in over a year. And I would say that you might be in trouble because I might go long, but I understand Rotary. I was Paul Harris Fellow in LaGrange. And in about 5 minutes to 1, y'all are looking at and you're moving your chair, so I understand that, okay? I am delighted to be here, and I'm delighted to be here in the metropolitan anchor of Columbus, Georgia. And it is Randolph County's metropolitan anchor. You may not think of yourselves in that way. I look out here, my theme today is public ministry, and it's just a phrase that popped into my head. Rebecca Roth, VP for Advancement at LaGrange College, knows what public ministry is about. Betsy Covington knows what that's about. Mike Welch of Colony Bank has helped Andrew College through some of the relief fund processes. He knows what public ministry is about, and folks, Rotary knows what public ministry is about. An organization who, I know you all know this, but the phrase service above self, Rotary has had that as your motto since 1911. Now that's some pretty enduring branding language, is it not? 1911. That's a long time. So in an organization, an international organization that has committed itself to eradicating polio, you all know what public ministry is about. Well, I believe that higher education really is public ministry. And it is about regional relevance, and it is about workforce development, although we who embrace the liberal arts sometimes don't like to talk about higher education as workforce development, but it certainly is. So what I'm going to do is show you a bunch of pictures. So George alluded to some of the things that I like to do downtown, which I have some black Rust-Oleum paint still underneath my nails. That oil-based stuff is really hard to get rid of. And I'm just going to blow through some slides. So Andrew, as you may know, is located 1 hour from here, okay? And at one time, I will give you this factoid. In 1910, Randolph County, Georgia had approximately 18,000 people living there. 1910. United States Census figures. In 2010, population of Randolph County was about 7,700. So 18,000, 7,700. Agriculture, the migration northward of African Americans, the mechanization of agriculture, right? So what has happened in our community, in our county, has happened all across the United States. George mentioned my 5 years of hard labor at Iowa Wesleyan in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. It was 5 years of hard labor, but it was glorious labor in the Wesleyan tradition. And you know what? They talked about their rural-rooted issues just like we do. Now, you may not feel those deep in your roots here in Columbus because you're a metropolitan area. You're a major metropolitan area. You got major metropolitan issues that you deal with. Well, we have rural issues that we deal with. So at Andrew College, though, knowing that we needed to be the beacon of hope and change in Randolph County. So physical demonstration and illustration of that, I think, is important and powerful. So I've got some before and after pictures for you. You all know about these kinds of things, these kinds of transformations, because the Bradley Turner Foundation helped Columbus State University come downtown. Really huge, transformative, very important. Well, in our own little way in Cuthbert, we're doing the same thing. So these are walls that used to not have anything on them except chip paint or old paint. And now they have beautiful new things on them. Chris Johnson, who you all may know if you follow your local media, lives right here in Columbus. He is my one and only mighty art faculty person. And he is now a renowned muralist. He would be here today, except he's in South Carolina, his home state, doing more murals. This is in Shellman, Georgia. 2 buildings that I bought in Cuthbert for a total, 2 buildings, for $80,000, which is a lot to Andrew College. 4 others were given to me, which sometimes you have to be wary of those gifts, right, Rebecca? You got to be wary of those gifts, but that's okay. We have committed ourselves to moving parts of arts downtown. So we have students walking back and forth, very similar to what you have here now in Columbus with Columbus State University students. I wanted to buy this building just so I could see this awning get ripped off it, okay? And sure enough, that looks a whole lot better. So here's the other magical thing. When you start doing good things, more good things follow. And we got a donor to give us a very nice gift to name that building. We had already done the renovation. Sometimes you have to step out on faith. So, Mesker storefronts. I am now cursed with being very knowledgeable about Mesker storefronts. So what are Mesker storefronts? You all probably have some here in Columbus. You also have these iron architectural ornamental pieces on the outside of buildings, okay? They're cast iron. You have some that were created right here in Columbus by your early foundries. You have some that were created, I believe, in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And you probably also have some Meskers. So these were two brothers whose origins were in Germany. One had a foundry in St. Louis. One had a foundry in Evansville, Indiana. They are a sign that around 1900, sometimes a little before, sometimes a little after, that there was wealth in the merchant class. And in Cuthbert, Georgia, now there are 5,500 of these left in the United States, across the whole country, about 5,500. Cuthbert, Georgia has 6. So I know the guy thought I was crazy, but this was last summer's project, which was a big project because it was a corner building. And I said, Jeff of Jeff's Furniture, do you mind if I refurbish the outside of your building? And he's like, aren't you the college president? I said, yeah, but I need summer stuff, right, in the long evenings. So this is what they looked like before. So you see that nameplate in the middle? Watch this. And there you see that. The coolest thing for me is when people who have grown up in Cuthbert, Georgia and lived there all their lives walk by and say, I never knew this was there. And it's absolutely beautiful. And I say, I didn't design it, and I didn't create it, and I didn't put it here. All I'm doing is chip and paint and repainting it. Community pride goes a long way. The Maloof Building. Everybody in Cuthbert had a story about the Maloof Building. They grew up there. My academic dean grew up in Cuthbert. She says, I remember sitting, watching my mom try on hats. And I sat up on a stool and I looked in the mirror. So they have these memories of these buildings. And then the buildings look like they do, especially to the right, with a big hole in the middle of it, and thunderstorms happen, and the rain comes flooding in, and the outside of the building doesn't look very nice. That's after. Now, the photo to the right, that interior shot, that looks a whole lot like what you all have here in Columbus. You have some beautiful redone buildings here in Columbus. This is one of them. Well, this is a new building, but you have several that are like this. So we got a donor to give us the money to renovate this wonderful building, and we were very, very fortunate to be one of the 6 sites in Georgia for the Smithsonian Rural Exhibit, and we held it right there in that building. It was perfect for it. This one is startling in stark contrast. So here we are right on our square, right on the little square in historic Cuthbert, Georgia. Chris Johnson, the art faculty person I mentioned, so we got a grant. And we said, Chris, what about, and he goes, oh my God, those 2 big walls. Oh, wow. And a pergola, that was another grant, and some lights. And it's a wonderful outdoor space to have events. So here are the paintings in close-up. These are not new to you. You have things like that here in Columbus. But the difference that makes in the streetscape and the human experience, it makes a huge difference. Close-up. So there are theater students acting out cemetery characters, and they're using that as a backdrop. Yes, we had to improvise a lot during COVID. Bless you, sir, for being president of Rotary during COVID. Talk to any of us college presidents about being college president during COVID. or a board chair during COVID. And then these are the ones that you're most familiar with here in Columbus. So again, these are Chris Johnson. He's a remarkable young man. I pray that nobody steals him from me with a faculty position, but I think he's very happy at Andrew, and he and his wife Natalie are very happy living here in Columbus. So those are those images. So why should you care about Andrew College? You know, I'm your speaker today, and I'm supposed to have you care about Andrew and what our message is and why we exist. I'll get to that in a minute. Our elevator speech, which actually George covered very, very well, we are about regional relevance. And every college has to establish what its regional relevance is. Okay, so how can we best serve? Again, public ministry. So nursing is the thing I probably like to talk about most because people, oh, you started a nursing program. You know, everybody likes nursing because everybody needs nursing. We all know that. Even here in a big metropolitan area, you have a critical nursing shortage. Well, you can multiply that by about 3 in rural southwest Georgia. In fact, all of South Georgia. I love to talk about sustainable agriculture. I love to talk about our other new program, respiratory therapy. You want to talk about something that's important to develop during COVID is respiratory therapy. Even our respiratory therapy students did not realize, I talked to them right before their pinning ceremony, that they are what an essential part of a critical care team they are. Because the only person handling a ventilator, and apparently the only person dealing with oxygen levels, is the respiratory therapist. So they are critically important team members of critical care teams. So I'm proud of that. George mentioned our business degree was the first baccalaureate degree that we had in 100 years. In 1917, we let go of our baccalaureate programs because the college knew they couldn't keep up with accreditation requirements. I said when I interviewed in 2015, you know, I think every 100 years or so, we probably ought to look at baccalaureate programs. Just every 100 years or so, you know, not often, but maybe every 100 years or so. So again, in an effort to build our academic program and build our enrollment. This fall, we will be launching an bachelor's degree in elementary education with a special emphasis in reading proficiency. So in Southwest Georgia, where 11 to 15% of our third graders, 11 to 15%, which for you math gurus out there means that 85% and more of our third graders are not at third grade reading proficiency. Now, these are statistics from the Chamber of Commerce, the Georgia State Chamber of Commerce, who said the state of Georgia uses third grade reading proficiency rates in counties to predict the number of prison beds that they will need. We can predict the number of prison beds we will need based on third grade reading rates. So that's a public ministry. To start an elementary education program with a special emphasis in reading proficiency, that is public ministry. Another part of why you should care about Andrew or anything that's an hour south of you. It's an easy hour's drive, by the way. Come on down and see us, but it's an hour south of you. So in a conversation with Gilbert Miller of the wonderful Bradley Turner set of families and foundation, and Gilbert, I'm so grateful that he continues to serve on our board of trustees, but in conversation with Gilbert, who's a very intellectual fellow, he said, you know, what Columbus is aware of is that in all of the rural areas surrounding the Columbus metropolitan area, when the median income of families in those counties drops, what the Columbus metropolitan area sees is a rise in the need for social and medical services because people seek those services and they will go to the closest metropolitan area to receive them. So as Southwest Georgia can rise up and improve, then there's less stress on your very needed services here within your metropolitan area. Our public ministry in a Methodist tradition and a very proud Methodist tradition, and the Methodist tradition is evolving. And that's okay, because the church has always evolved, just like higher education has always evolved. We will continue to do that with a mind's eye on regional relevance, workforce development, public service, helping students discover their godly purpose through vocational discernment, which is a terrible phrase to a 19-year-old, like what does vocational discernment mean? But that's okay. We try to break that down and work with them about that. And if not for the Bradley Turner Foundation and those families and the generosity of those associated with the United Methodist Church and others, we would not be in existence. I mean, Andrew wouldn't be in existence. Rebecca Roth can put her finger on those primary supporters for LaGrange College, who's been around longer than we have. And I would just say, I don't know, is there anybody here from Columbus State University? There you go. Are you the president of Columbus State University? Okay. So I would put this out. When you're looking for service projects, which Rotary does, consider this Chattahoochee River Valley of higher education that is all connected to Columbus. So you've got LaGrange at the north end, you've got Point University in West Point, you've got Columbus State, Columbus Tech, Southern Union, and we're down at the south end of that, as very worthy and important recipients of your generosity and your focus. It's not fundraising, sometimes it's friend raising. Hey, I know somebody who might be really interested in that or might want to help you with a scholarship for that, right? So that's my plug for higher education, not just Andrew College. Very unusual for me, I actually ended on time. I could flip back and forth because I'm really proud of those photographs, but I also want to thank Gene Kemp, my friend and Board of Trustee member. I've called out Mike Welch, Rebecca, Betsy. Thank you, sir, for your service as a fellow service member and veteran. Being a veteran is good when you get to that point. It's a good thing. And my time in the Navy is among the most special and privileged. What an amazing way to serve is to wear the cloth of your country. So I know you feel that. And you're a Minnesota guy, so you sound kind of funny too, but that's okay. So, when I went back to Iowa, I realized how I could chameleon accents, and it's like rather frightening how I can do that. But anyway, so do you have questions? I know I'm competing with coffee and cake. Yes, sir.
How many students do you have now?
Not enough. How many students do we have at Andrew? About 300. Now, we were at a 5-year high in last fall, which, we were like, we're at a 5-year high. Now, Heather Bradley, my amazing Director of Communications and Marketing, and Spence Seeley knows that I said, okay, we're at a 5-year high, Mr. Chair, we're at a 5-year high, and that meant 11 students, okay? So we were very proud of that, though, because for many institutions of higher education, we did see some significant enrollment drops. So we're still at about 300. Ideally, I would love to have 350 students living on campus. I'd like about 125 online students, and I'd like about 125, 150 commuter students. I would love to serve Fort Benning. I would love to serve Fort Benning spouses in ways that maybe Columbus State or Columbus Tech are not doing. Again, it's an easy drive. It's an easy drive. And we've gotten incredibly good at online learning. Incredibly good at it.
Other questions?
Other questions?
Off topic, how often do you get to Apalachicola?
Not near enough. And George mentioned a beach house. I so wish it was a beach house. It is not. It is a tiny wooden structure on the hill, an historic part of Apalachicola. In the summer, I try to get there every other weekend. It is a 3-hour and 5-minute drive. And if you've ever driven to Apalachicola, you get on Route 27, it's 4-lane, don't go 90, you want to, don't do it, they'll get you. You get off, you make your way to Quincy, Florida. You go, you do that magical. See, you're all St. George Island people. I could tell. Like you're all, yeah, we all know this, and you know where the restrooms are, right? You all know where the restrooms are, and are not. You have 70 miles on State Route 65 through the forest before you come to water. 70 miles. I don't want to confess to you how fast I've driven on that highway because there is nothing there. And I never do it at night because of the deer and the bears. So not as often as I would like to, but it is a very special place. The biodiversity in that area, if you know it, is incredible. The river, the bay, the Gulf, the forest. It's beautiful. So it's good for my soul. It's good for my soul to cut grass. Keeps me very, very humble. Not that Andrew College doesn't already keep me very humble. But I am blessed to serve there. And in some ways I feel like we're just getting started. And in some ways when my board chair knows that, okay, well, yeah, you're more than started. There will be a time when we're looking for a successor to build upon those things that we have been able to do. And that's what college presidents do, right? They build upon what their predecessors have done to the best of their ability. I'm honored to serve there. Very honored to be here today. Thank you for this opportunity. It feels so good to be in front of people again and just spreading the word about Andrew. Thank you.
We appreciate so much you sharing your remarks, being here with us today. Thank you for your public ministry, and we'll all work on our vocational discernment. As we leave the room, we'll figure out, if we're where God wants us to be on that. I want to remind everybody we'll have a replay of today's program on our Facebook page, as well as a YouTube link that'll go out. We'll make sure to get you a copy of that as well. Our program next week is Dr. Maurice Solis. He's the Assistant Dean for the Columbus campus of Mercer Medical School. So he's going to be talking with us about the new development that's going on just right down the river, or right up the river here, I should say, which that'll be a fantastic program. I hope that everybody will come back. Those of you that are joining us online, if you want to be here in the room next week, we'd love to have you, but please do let us know by Friday of this week so that we can plan appropriately. And with that, there's no further business. Fort Benning Day RSVPs, please, if you haven't already told us, we'd love to have everybody come that can. Go out and serve others above yourself. Let's get to work.